This is for the number theory revision, a little bit of help for question 4c. Okay, so we're given that m is 100a plus b and n is 11a plus 7b, and we're ultimately going to show that if 13 divides into m, then it also divides into n and vice versa. But the difference with this question is that we have to use m minus 2n to show that. So we're going to follow our instructions and work out what m minus 2n is. So m minus 2n is 100a plus b minus 2 lots of 11a plus 7b. Okay, 100 minus 22 gives us 78a. b minus 14b is minus 13b. And so, remember, we're interested in whether 13 goes into things. 13 goes into 78 6 times. So 13 goes into that. So that tells us that m minus 2n is divisible by 13. Okay, so we could write m minus 2n is equal to 13k if we wanted to, but I'm going to leave that because we've already got an expression with 13 in it. Right, so now we're going to kind of go from 13 goes into m implies 13 goes into n and vice versa. So let's start with 13 goes into m. Right, what I want to do is that I'm going to try and get an expression for n that involves m and the stuff we already know, the m minus 2n. Okay, so let's just say if 13 divides into m, then m is equal to 13 little m. Okay, and if we want, let's go with 2n, because we've got a 2n here, that would be the same as m take away m minus 2n. So I've used m that we know that 13 goes into, and I'm using m minus 2n that we know 13 goes into. So I can write this as 13m minus 13 6a minus b, so altogether that is 13m minus 6a plus b, which tells us that 13 goes into 2n. And then the HCF, the highest common factor of 13 and 2 is 1, so by Euclid's lemma 13 goes into just n on its own. Right, now we go the other way. So I'm going to move this a little bit so you can see. So we're going to start with 13 divides into n, and we're going to try and end up with 13 divides into m. So that tells us that n is equal to 13n. Right, now we can write m is equal to, okay, if we have a look at our m minus 2n, well, if we add 2n to that, we're going to end up back at m. So we've got m minus 2n plus 2n. Okay, so that is just kind of circular, gives you back to m. Right, m minus 2n is 13 times 6a minus b, and 2n is going to be 2 times 13n. So 13 goes into all of it, which tells us that 13 goes into m. So we've done it both ways round. We've started with 13m and implied that 13 goes into n, and we started with 13 goes into n and implied that 13 goes into m.